Training camp is still about a month away for the Dallas Cowboys, but the roster still has some potential holes the team could explore adding options at if they decide they don't trust their young players. So I've got some potential top free agent targets here for the Cowboys on today's video. We'll start with a player the Cowboys have shown interest in. We know that for a fact, Brett Hundley. Now, the Cowboys brought him in for a visit. They did not sign him at that time. Now, Hundley knows McCarthy from their time together in Green Bay. There is a big problem, though, right now, as it relates to Brett Hundley. He's not good. It just hasn't been a good NFL quarterback, and he's had starts in the NFL. Had him for Green Bay, under 60% completion percentage, not even 2,000 yards, negative TD to interception ratio. Hundley hasn't been a good player, and that's the overarching problem here with where the Cowboys are at in the backup quarterback situation. There's Dak Prescott. He, of course, is the starter. Everything is impacted on him. He's got to be healthy. I like Garrett Gilbert. I don't think Ben DiNucci's that good, and I know Cooper Rush isn't any good either. So the backup options that you've heard of are like Brett Hundley. You can stick with Gilbert. Maybe RG3? RG3 is not close to what he was at his best. Now, RG3, I'll also make note, by the way, he might be done playing football because reportedly, Griffin's drawing major interest from Fox and ESPN for a significant TV role. They're going to try and bring him in and make him an analyst. The other options are just not good. And even Robert Griffin III, you Baylor fans know how great he was in college in his first year for Washington. Since 2014, we got a 14 start sample size here. Yikes. The completion is fine. Under 3,000 yards, a nearly 1-to-2 touchdown interception ratio. Even if you factor in the rushing touchdowns, which is 3, it's not good. RG3 is not the guy that we saw at his best, or even still early on in his NFL career. The reality is, his career is kind of close to being over. So I want you guys now to pick a backup quarterback for me. Type in BH for Brett Hundley, RG for Robert Griffin III, or type in GG for Garrett Gilbert. Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Let's talk the name that I know everybody's going to ask for, Richard Sherman. Now, I do believe that Sherman would fit the scheme. He'd be a great mentor in Dallas, and yet the Cowboys haven't shown interest. And I think there are reasons for that. A, I don't know if Sherman wants to go to Dallas because he and Jerry Jones don't like each other that much from what I can tell. And not only that, as we'll get into more in depth, there's a real numbers game at the cornerback position. Like, that is the reality of the situation. He wasn't as good for this past season for the 49ers. 2019, Sherman played really well. And I think it is telling that Sherman was like, I'm going to sign after the draft. Draft comes and goes. I'm going to sign in training camp. I don't think the interest has been there in the way that Sherman wants. Because of that, yes, it's still possible. I'd be fairly surprised, though. So I want you guys right now to let me know a player you want to sign before training camp. Get your votes in for me in the comment section. Any player, go to the pinned comment, by the way. That's the question. So if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and let me know. I've seen Conley mentioned a couple times in our comments, so I wanted to bring him up on today's show because this is all for you guys in the end, right? Former first-round pick. He's been a bust, however. Now, Conley would be a cheap buy low option. I don't think he'd be very expensive. Frankly, all these guys we're discussing are not expensive in most cases, right? But the numbers game at corner is real, and Conley did not play in 2020. Last time we saw him was 2019, and he, frankly, wasn't that good. You see the stats, right? Pretty middling overall. He's coming off an ankle issue that was bad, and I don't know if he's even cleared yet at this point. And then there's the numbers game. This also applies, by the way, to other veteran corners out there, because Trevon Diggs making this team. Kelvin Joseph, Jordan Lewis, Nashawn Wright making this team. Reggie Robinson maybe making this team. CJ Goodwin or maybe Maurice Kennedy, special teams guys. Even if you were to trade or cut Anthony Brown, which is doable, So we got a lot of guys at corner. And if you're cutting Anthony Brown, it's either because you're worried about the youth at corner or the youth is so good that you're going to play them. And if the youth is so good, why are you signing a veteran? And if you're worried about the youth, why are you cutting Anthony Brown, who you know fits your defense? That's the issue there at the cornerback spot. Now, it's almost every single day I get a question, hey, Malik Hooker, still a possibility? So I'll mention him here. Don't get your hopes up, though. Now, the Cowboys did bring in Hooker for a visit, one of several NFL teams. And I get the appeal, because I was on the Malik Hooker train this offseason when it first began, because he's impactful, he's a free safety, he's got great range, he's got play-making ability. The problem is the medical. Malik Hooker now has taken 3 visits: the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Miami Dolphins. I think specifically for the Cowboys side of it, the medical did not check out. I don't think Hooker's medical is in a position where the Cowboys feel good signing him. Just like Eric Berry from 2 years ago, the medical is a big deal. Now, safety in general is a position that, shocker, I know, I have interest in adding help at, because I got Jurrell Casey, Donovan Wilson, Jurrell Casey, Darian Thompson, Israel Mukuamu, Steven Parker. That's not a good safety. Objectively, that is not a good unit for the Cowboys. Even if it's not Malik Hooker, I think there are some names that are still worth exploring for the Cowboys. Before that, though, if you guys kind of forgot Father's Day and didn't get your dad anything good, make it up. Get your dad something awesome this Father's Day. How about Cowboys jersey, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke Elliott? They got Amari Cooper, all right? They're all available at chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey. Now, a lot of them are under $90. Not all of them, however. So that link right there at the bottom of the screen, which will be in the comment section and in the description as well, it will have every Cowboys jersey on sale right now. It's chatsports.com/Cowboys jersey. Other safeties, right? Tre Boston. I think Boston could start for at least a couple NFL teams, even at this stage in the NFL offseason. I was a bit surprised that the Panthers chose to release him, but Boston's never been regarded in the same way that I view him as I think the NFL does. I think he would want a bigger role elsewhere, because he's starter last year for Carolina. I think would fit enough what the team wants to do, the Cowboys, I should say, on defense. The problem is, I don't think Boston would start over Jurrell Casey right now. And if you're Boston, wouldn't you rather try and wait maybe for an injury or see if there's a different destination that you could go to in the end? I think that's the biggest issue there for Boston and for the Cowboys. I like the player, still young enough. I'd have interest, but the player might not want to come to Dallas. Next up is Jeff Heath, who I'm on board with this, guys. And it's not even for him to start. I don't want Jeff Heath starting. The Cowboys know him well. There was a Mike Fish report that the Cowboys are not interested in adding him, which, okay. I'm looking at depth in this situation. I don't want Jeff Heath starting games for me. That is a bad outcome. But you know who else I don't want starting games? Darian Thompson, Steven Parker. Jeff Heath is better than those guys. If Jeff Heath is my number 3 or number 4 safety, yes, he will get beat. He will also pick up a pass or two, as he's done like pretty much every year in his NFL career. So I say yes, bring back Jeff Heath. The GOAT stuff has always been a meme there, but he's better than what you got. Jeff Heath is a better player than Darian Thompson, and you could sign Jeff Heath, cut Darian Thompson, and maybe save a little bit of money. So pick a safety for me here. Who would you rather have on your roster? Type J for Jeff Heath or type in D for Darian Thompson. Get your votes in the comment section. I feel the need to mention Earl Thomas. I've already seen it in the live chat, by the way, and in previous comments. I don't want him. It is very telling that for as talented as Earl Thomas is, as big of a need as the Cowboys have at safety, that they haven't done it. The last time we saw Earl Thomas out there, impactful, interceptions, all that stuff. But in the words of allegedly Mike McCarthy, there is a point where if your bullshit exceeds your level of play and your impact, you're not worth it. And I think it's time the Houston Texans players kind of vetoed the Earl Thomas addition, from what I've heard. He's a headache. Yes, he's talented. Yes, he helps at safety. He's not worth the trouble anymore. I think it's very telling that every team has passed on Earl Thomas now for well over a calendar year. That's a big deal. Now, with that said, I believe in democracy. I love democracy. So get your votes in here. Do you want to give Earl Thomas a chance? I say no. I want to make that clear. But you can get your votes in here. Y for yes or N for no. Now, Joe Looney might be more in line with what many of you guys are hoping for there. I am a little bit surprised that Joe Looney is still unsigned after he started games last year for the Cowboys. As a veteran depth option at either guard or center, Looney helps. Now, he's not going to start for Dallas. That is going to be Tyler Biadasz at center. And I think Looney, as we often do, was a bit overrated by some of the Cowboys fans. He is a average, below average starter at center, if that. He's probably more of a backup guy. He got beat more in the passing game than you want. He's not a great run blocker. If he's your 7th or 8th offensive lineman, okay. But it's very clear to me, based on what the Cowboys have done so far, that Tyler Biadasz is this team's center, at least for this year. You still want to see more growth. He's still young. That's all talented stuff. I get it. He should, I hope, break out this season. If that happens, awesome. If not, we'll revisit this next offseason. Because the Cowboys Report, folks, it's not going anywhere. Every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, we got videos for you guys on everything going on around America's team. The news, the rumors, training camp, watch parties, preseason stuff, all of it. We keep you guys covered. So help us get to 95,000 subscribers, hitting the big red button right now. A name we haven't talked much about here, Kenyon Barner. And on one hand, you're going, wait a minute, I've seen Barner's stats. He had 0 carries last year. Why are you signing a running back who isn't going to carry the football and is aging? Well, A, the running back depth is not great for the Cowboys. It's Rico Dowdle right now as RB3, and I don't know, maybe Brandon Knox or Hardy end up impressing me. The actual reason behind my inclusion of Barner on this list is special teams. Now, Barner bounced around last year, ended the year with the Bucs. 7 kick returns, 13 punt returns. Not great, not many yards there. 2019, though, more impactful as a return man. I don't know about you guys, but at least in the back of my mind, I go, I worry a little bit about CeeDee Lamb on returns. So if you want another punt return option of the actual guys available, I think Kenyon Barner is one of those few options. Not a big name, I get that, but someone to at least consider. Let's go back to defense now. Jurrell Casey. If you don't trust the youngins on the defensive line, I understand that. I get that. Casey could be one of those players. Now, he's coming off injury. He's not in his prime. He falls in the same bucket as a Geno Atkins, although I think Casey might be a little bit more impactful at this stage of his NFL career. For all these guys, you're probably not going to try to sign somebody until on the eve of training camp or maybe even in the middle of it. If the young guys struggle or if there are injuries, Casey has my attention. Last time we saw him fully healthy in 14 games, 7 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. That's decent. That's better than what we've seen in recent years. What his role would be, I'm not entirely sure. I like him more as a 3 technique, which you've got options there. Neville Gallimore, Tristan Hill, Osa Odigizua. So a bit more of a pass rushing option there for the Dallas Cowboys on in terms of the defensive line grouping there. Not too many of those guys out there on the open market. Question for you now. What do you think is the biggest area of need for the Cowboys? If you were the GM, what spot are you going, I don't like that very much? For me, it's safety. But I want to hear from you guys. Get your votes in right now. And one more name I know you guys love to talk about, Damon Harrison. I think if you need just a fat guy to stop the run, I'm taking Snacks over Dontari Poe, who is now dead to me. The Cowboys, however, didn't have interest last year. They wanted to get Dontari Poe, didn't work out. Harrison, who's kind of from the area, had some interest, but nobody wanted him. I think the big reason why, and the Cowboys were wrong about Dontari Poe, also kind of right about Damon Harrison, however. Namely, twilight of his career is probably a nice way of saying he's borderline washed up. The guy we saw the past really year and a half, not the same guy. Tackle for loss numbers way down, tackle numbers way down, didn't make a major impact in 2020. Things were not going the way for Harrison. Now, maybe that changes this year. I don't mind kicking the tires on him, but if Quentin Bahana impresses, fingers crossed, Fatties only lives with him right now, there's really no need for Harrison at that point.